get beyond your past. Make a line behind you and walk forward. The wound is healed when there is no more pain, and the past is just a thought. Show yourself not petty or small or weak or distracted or disturbed, because those things are gone. It's all your perception that you have in the moment of time right now that matters, because where you direct that is where you are. If you have high thoughts, you are there. If you've healed yourself, you're healed. You don't think about the past anymore because it's irrelevant. You are with yourself on this day, this hour, this minute, this second. Only the past is the past. The past is not there with you. You only have the now and the future. That's it. Even the bums who get beaten on Saturday night wake up on Sunday with what they have. What memories they have. What memories do you have? How many days do you remember in their entirety? So life is a moving target, and where you dwell in your mind is where you dwell, and you have the choice to live in the ditch, the cellar, the basement, the bog, the dump, the lunatic asylum, the heap, the dusty, the dirty, the cold, the sad, the regretful, the sentimental, the weak, the scared, even the happy and whatnot. But why would you not prefer to be in what more fertile and abundant plains? Why not be in the high places, the good places, the calm places, the comfortable places, the amusing places, the adored places? If you are not forced to deal with the past, nobody's putting any force to you to think the way you do about the past and make it as relevant as you do by obsessing over it. Now someone might say, oh, what? Obsessing? No, I never think about it. Well, do you really never think about it? How little do you think about it? Guess what? You shouldn't be thinking about it at all. It's irrelevant. You've healed your wounds. It should just be a very distinct memory, but one you don't need to think about. because also it's prone to the survivability complex, which means you remember the fuck-ups and not the good things, which becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy as you move forward. Focus more and more and more on all of the things that didn't go right. Well, for you to get here, an amazing majority of things had to have gone right. And that you live such a charmed life that you don't appreciate when you should. And you have every reason to do so. Every good reason. There are no good reasons for falling into the complexes. You think there is, but that's an illusion. That's a failed assessment. It's the automatic, autotalic, primal neuroses. But you have to cut that out. And as soon as you realize you do it, you take your baby steps back from it and say, wow, I don't have to be that person. That baggage is not mine. I've been deluding myself. And now I not only propose, but I have the means to discontinue such practices and to start ones that benefit me and are in alignment with who I am at this very moment. Someone who is grateful, appreciative, thankful. Someone who forgives. Someone who has forgiven all those in the past, all incidents, all insults, because you've moved on, you're bigger than that now. It's not going to weigh you down, and you realize it was based on the misconception of some of the complexes, including survivability complex, something very deeply ingrained in certain personalities that had their function in the past. They're not bad things of in themselves, it's just lived such a long time. Much longer than most human beings have lived ever before. I think that's also challenging. How do older people interact with society that's moved on past them? How can they contribute in a new capacity? They see deep, forward-thinking ideas that are without blame. They're just open questions. Okay, I've got this problem. How do we solve it? You have this problem too. Let's compare notes. Come up with a new way that makes fun. That is fun and beneficial and leads towards better conditions. No matter what the circumstances, no matter what the quote-unquote hardships, which of course aren't hardships unless you believe them to be so. Once you've paid your dues, what more is there to worry about if you've ever paid your dues at all? But yes, the main thing is to keep yourself unburdened from non-existent baggage, psychological, subjective baggage that you're carrying around, although it's neither incumbent upon you to do so, nor necessary, nor good, nor beneficial to others living in the present, why should you be in a bad mood? What are these ambitions, or is that a complex of ambition? Over-ambition. Is that also not a weakness? To not be content with good enough? Especially in matters of life and how you live it and how you interact with society. I mean, where is it unethical? As well. But if you're not hurting anyone and you're improving yourself so that you can help others eventually, but you don't even need that reason to begin this journey, because it's just a question of even being a healthy animal, like a deer or a giraffe that also wakes up in the morning and doesn't have to have a reason for being on this planet. He doesn't have to justify his existence. He takes part in the bounty of the universe. They share the space most of the time, or they'll just yield the space if someone comes. So to have the mobility to yield is a good thing as well. There's nothing cowardly about it. Why be proud in these types of force field matters? It's to make the adaptations as fluidly, swiftly, and painlessly as possible. And welcome them. Change. You can't live in a solid state. Fluidity is much more enjoyable. It's dynamic. It's the flow of life. Just standing in one spot for reasons of also social expectations or what social perception, or what are the reasons for doing that? Vanity? Egotism, or is it practical? Are there not more practical advantages to doing it some other way? What about that technique? Maybe you're just doing it out of fear or laziness. You're not doing it because of fear or laziness, or just being held in one spot for lack of creativity, perhaps, or lack of searching, or then again, maybe it's contentment, or it's good enough, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Which is also perfectly acceptable if that's truly the case. And if it isn't the case, we'll try to make it so. I think that's one of the most practical things one could do. Surely that's what our forefathers did. At least most of them, if we were to survive. Let's not forget the conditions under which they did that. However, it would be a misconception to say they did not enjoy their lives at all. There had to have been some silver linings. Why not envision it much better than you do? Perhaps we're the ones living in a state of insanity compared to what they achieve. Perhaps they lived their lives to the hilt and would wish we did the same. Perhaps they didn't. Perhaps they were fools. They had one life to live. You have yours. So try to do it better, with better techniques, with meditative, spiritual hygiene techniques, mantras. Having the discipline to focus on the good. not just indulging in a survivability complex, even if it's a general survivability complex. That's also a personality trait. People that are in tune with general survivability aspects, because perhaps they've taken care of their base needs. Now they again ascend to a state of almost a political class, the political protected class for a nation. So I would say that is one of the prime features of people that should be doing the job, and yet, as we said before, there's these contradictions in the current system. But then again, when was that never the case? You can create an ideal situation, the idealization complex, and then you can compare reality with that, and actually, reality is actually not very bad, but because your idealization is so extreme, it throws you off balance. And then all of a sudden, the reality, which would be good enough, or perhaps even good, through the lens of the idealization complex, becomes pales by comparison, becomes nightmarish. Don't do that. Whatever you do, don't make that mistake. It's excruciating and rather embarrassing for philosophers or literary men or priests. It's something one should never do, except if one was perhaps misled by others or himself to do such a thing. But okay, if you've lived this long to see that, then you can change that as well. At the drop of a dime, don't do it. Pull back. Breathe. Assess the situation. Okay, where am I now? Is the sun shining? Is the wind blowing? Is there the scent of flowers in the air? Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it quiet? What do you hear? Yeah, take all of those factors into account, and then are you focusing on some type of complex? Does some type of complex have a hold of you right now? If so, let it go. Cleanse your mind. And what that does is, through repetition, like going to the gym, it gives your spirit the power and the technique to let things go, because there's no necessity to not let them go. It's just a thought, a passing phase, a complex that was activated via so many triggers. And so the meditation process, again, that's the pumping iron, up, down, up, down. So the thought comes, up, drop it, let it go. Thought comes up, and then you start to automatically recognize what thoughts are coming up. What type of fish are jumping in the boat, and how have I classified this fish already? So you're automatically seeing, classifying thoughts. You're saying, hey, survivability complex, seen that fish, throwing it back. Past idealization complex, seen that fish, throwing it back. Focusing on the bad, that's really weak, throwing that back. Because, and put yourself back in the breath. Why am I focusing on the good? Because I have the discipline to pull back and to reorient my focus on better things. I'm not forced. It's truly I have either been conditioned or conditioned myself, or because I was just not aware of these spiritual hygiene techniques that I unthinkingly went with the complexes, thinking them native to myself and not realizing it's just a point of view. Points of view are ether. They are the thoughts that you release, the fish that you throw back out of the boat. And then you get into this realm of Zen, which is the now, where you're there in the moment, but you're not being wrestled to the ground by complexes or ambitions or desires. You get that childlike awareness again, and you're free. And then the question is, how long? Well, not the question, but then you just start thinking, okay, how long can I keep my state this way without going back into a personality prototype that you have put behind you, a model of being that did not suit you, that was less adapted towards your goals, and then to automatically reinforce the positive techniques and methods, and to instill them in yourself repetitively so that you gain that state more often and free yourself of the bricks. You drop the book bag of bricks that you could even say we're training you to be as strong as you are, and now they're gone, and now life is so much lighter. It's so much less burdened, so less heavy and domineering. There's no suffering in that state. And you're light as a feather. And breathe. What complexes keep coming back, and how are you classifying them, and how are you're watching yourself let them go. And breathe. And the more you do that, the repetition is the technique. You have to become addicted to the repetition, because at some point, just like walking down the steps, you're not thinking about walking down the steps, you're just doing it. It's part of you. And that makes you truly different. And others recognize you as a human being. Because that's the thing. There are human beings out there just as awake as you. They are in the moment of time. They are unburdened. And when you cleanse yourself spiritually, you see them and they see you looking back at them. Conversely, you see people that have not cleansed themselves and how they are burdened in primitive states of mind that they might never unshackle themselves from. And yet, in the realm of infinite possibility, perhaps they will find the way when the time suits them. And without judgment, you accept them as they are, and yet You do not lower yourself to that level. Remain in your own awareness, in your own state, as a sovereign human being.